In today's video, before we even get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Stuff like this will be posted on here a lot, so if you don't want to miss it, make sure you do it. Enough of that. Let's get into this video. Yo, what's good? So today we're going to be talking about time frame correlation. Time frame correlation is extremely easy to understand. I will try to take my time. If I do tend to speed up, in the comments, let me know, and I will do my best to give you a better explanation and go from there. First, I want to say, if you don't know how to identify structure, I have made a video on how to identify structure. It's mandatory to know how to do that before you get into time frame correlation, because the only thing time frame correlation is identifying structure. On the daily time frame, we can see clear as day that we are in this bullish trend due to this higher high and this higher low and this break of structure. After price went to go break this structure, forming this higher low and going to form this higher high, we had this area of interest. You can obviously see this area of interest is the same one on the 4 hour, same one on the 1 hour, and the same one on the 30 and 15 minute time frame. So right now, our objective when it comes to time frame correlation is understanding, one, where we are within the market, and two, are we at a point where we can start looking for entry possibilities. For example, we know that when we are trending in a bullish trend, price gives us a break of structure. Price then has a retest of this area of interest before it has the second continuation to go form new higher highs, right? So as price is forming, we can make this red. As price is forming this pullback, our objective is to potentially find an entry at this potential higher low. Right? And why is this a potential higher low? Because it is not yet broken that recent higher high, which confirms this being our new higher low. Right? This is a potential higher low because we are now tapping back into an area that was treated as resistance, now getting treated as support, and following the rules I'm about to show you all, we can potentially ride this trade back towards the upside. So our objective is to get in at the potential higher low. And it's the same thing with a bearish trend. If you're in a bearish trend, you want to wait for that exact same thing. Wait for price to give you the break of structure, form this new lower low, wait for price to give you the pullback. Our objective is to now, we can make this black. Again, our objective is to wait for price to pull back towards this recent known area of support, treat this area as resistance, break down the charts how I'm about to show you, and potentially find that position to continue to ride this trade towards the downside to go form new lower lows, right? So our objective is to potentially find a trade at that lower high. So with knowing that, and by looking at the daily time frame, since we are at a point where we have recently broken structure, going to form that new higher high and forming this new higher low, we now know that we can expect a retracement to be established, right? So by us waiting for the daily time frame to form the retracement back down towards this area of interest, we also know that since the daily has to form that, we know that the 4 hour, the 4 hour has to form the retracement back down, which then the 1 hour has to form that retracement back down, and the 30 and 15 minute has to form that retracement back down as well. With knowing that, our objective is to now find a potential entry point at this higher low. And since we are waiting for price to tap back into, before this retracement even happens, right, just by looking at the examples we have drawn out, we can tell one thing. For the daily time frame to form a retracement, we know that one of these time frames has to go bearish before that retracement is established. And I'm sure you all can see it already, that time frame being the 30 and 15 minute time frame. So if I delete this, we know that since we are waiting for this daily retracement to happen, we know that the 30 and the 15 minute has to go from this bullish trend to now in a bearish trend, something like this. By the time price forms this, we can see price on the 1 hour form a pullback like so. As we're still waiting, right, you can obviously see how price get the push and the retracement on the 1 hour. It barely made a movement, and then on the 4 hour it probably formed something like this, right? And so to continue, the 30 and the 15 minute is still going and trending towards the downside, but in order to go, like we just said, we have to go from bullish to bearish. So by the time the 30 and the 15 minute switch from this bullish to bearish trend, you can obviously see how that gave us the break of structure, breaking past these recent higher lows. We can then go and mark this off as being our lower low, and this being our new lower high. And by the time price did this, we can see on the 1 hour time frame, price give us that break of structure, right? And now on a 1 hour time frame, you can see how because of this 30 and 15 minute going from bullish to bearish, this allowed the 1 hour to go from bullish to bearish as well, giving us the break of structure, with this being our new lower high. And then waiting for the pullback, because we know, again, when price gives you a break past a recent area of interest, price pulls back to retest that recent area of interest as newfound either resistance or support before having that continuation. So we can then mark this off as being black. For this pullback to be established on a 1 hour time frame, we can expect what from the 15 minute time frame? Well, we can expect the 15 minute time frame to go from bearish to back bullish in order to have that retest on a 1 hour time frame. So as we're establishing the pullback on a 1 hour time frame, right, we obviously know that we have this new lower low. And since we have this new lower low, we can expect price to pull back towards this recent area of interest to look for the retest before having the continuation back down towards this area of interest, being the daily area of interest. So before I continue, I want to slow down and I want to make sure you all are staying with me. I want you all to remember, with this being my higher high and this being my higher low, anything that's taking place in between my higher high and higher low, any type of movement that is going on is okay as long as we're not going to break structure. Again, if we're maintaining above my recent area of interest to where we saw it get treated as resistance to now getting treated as support, all of this can take place as long as we maintain above. So as we're forming this pullback, our overall trend is still bullish, right? The daily time frame is just forming the retracement back down towards our recent area of interest before giving us the second push to go and form new higher highs. Let's continue. As the 1 hour is now looking for the retest of the structure point to continue towards the downside, you can see how the 30 and the 15 minute went from bearish to bullish to allow the 1 hour to have that retest of that zone, right? So some people may think, oh, okay, well, we're going from bearish back to bullish, getting in sync with the higher time frames. We can expect this trade to continue towards the upside, right? No. Why is that? Because if you take a look, we have still not reached our daily area of interest. I can show you an example, right? All right, so this zone we just marked off, we have 1, 2, 3 taps on the daily time frame. I'll drop down towards the 4 hour time frame. You can see those 3 taps go from 3 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 taps. Those 6 taps, if I drop down towards the 1 hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, so on and so forth, right? And then you continue to drop towards the lower time frames. You see how there's way more structure within the overall structure, right? So to continue, right, since we did go from bearish to bullish, getting back in sync, we still haven't reached that overall area of interest, right? And that area of interest being the daily time frame. You can see right here, represented on the 4 hour, represents on the 1 hour, represents on the 30 and the 15. You can obviously see by the 1 hour where we're at on the 30 and the 15 is recent structure, right? We haven't reached our overall structure point yet. So some people who are looking to take a trade here typically would lose. Why? Because you're simply not at that area of interest. We're just floating around in no man's land right now. Be patient, right? So as that retracement happened on the 1 hour time frame, we now are expecting the second leg back down towards the downside to allow the retest to happen, right? In order for this second leg to happen, we know that the 30 and the 15 minute time frame now has to go back from being in this bullish trend to getting back in a bearish trend, right? Going from creating higher highs and higher lows to now creating lower lows and lower highs. So as you can see, that 1 hour, in order for it to have the second leg extension back down towards the downside, the 15 and 30 minute had to go from bullish back down towards bearish. And we can now move this to being here and that new lower high being there, right? And again, you can see what was created on the 1 hour time frame, a new area of interest. By this time, you can see how we tapped back into that daily area of interest, right? And on the 4 hour time frame, my fault, I forgot. On the 4 hour time frame, it will look something like this, right? So now what you want to wait on, since we are finally tapping back towards an area of interest to where we can see or possibly take this trade from, we now want to wait for the 30 and the 15 minute to go from bearish to bullish, allowing the 1 hour to go from bearish to bullish, getting in sync with both the daily and the 4 hour time frame in order for us to continue to ride this trade back towards the upside, right? So before the 1 hour switches from bearish to bullish, what has to happen? The 30 and the 15 minute has to go from bearish to bullish, right? So at the moment, we can see that the 1 hour still is in this bearish trend, right? And since it is in this bearish trend, it recently just gave us the break of structure. We can expect the 1 hour to have a pullback, retesting this structure, and then having this continuation back down towards the downside before the next switcher structure happens, right? In order for price to establish this pullback, we know that what has to happen on the 30 and the 15 minute time frame. Again, it has to go from bearish to back bullish in order to have the retest of that zone. You can obviously see this is our new higher high and this is our new higher low. And as price is creating this on the 30 and the 15 minute time frame, we know that on the 1 hour time frame is just reaching a recent known area of support, now getting treated as resistance, and we can expect what to happen? The second leg back down towards the downside. And as this is happening, only thing that's happening and taking place on the 4 hour time frame is it's finding that rejection. A candlestick is being formed, price is forming this rejection towards this area of interest, showing us that it is signs of rejection. Price is not looking like it wants to break through, allowing us to understand that price is getting ready to have the second momentum push back towards the upside. So as that's happening on the 4 hour time frame, like we all know, the 1 hour now is having that extension back down towards the downside, which means the 30 and the 15 minute has to go back towards this bearish trend. And since it's going back in this bearish trend, we know that it's going from higher highs and higher lows to now creating new lower lows and lower highs. So I want to take a second so you all can see what's going on, right? In order for this 1 hour to go from bullish to bearish, the 30 and the 15 minute has to have the flip from bullish to bearish first, allowing the 1 hour to have that momentum push towards the downside. And as price is having that push on the 1 hour, when it presents us with a break of structure and we're looking for a price to retest that recent break of structure, we can expect the 30 and the 15 minute to go back bullish, allowing the 1 hour to establish retracement, right? And again, when it's looking for the second push back towards the downside, we know that the 30 and the 15 minute has to go back from bullish to bearish in order for the 1 hour to move down, right? And so as that is happening, we know now that since the 30 and the 15 minute is controlling this one, well, not controlling, but in a sense, controlling the 1 hour movement. And since we are waiting for the 1 hour to get back in sync with the daily and the 4 hour time frame before we start looking for entries, because it is important for your daily, 4 hour and 1 hour to be in sync before looking for possible entries. It's just more confluences. It's allowing you to see 3 time frames that is in confluence with one another. And as we all know, in order for this 1 hour to go bullish, the 30 and the 15 minute has to be bullish in order for the 1 hour to move, which allows you to have 4 time frames in sync now, overall giving you a better grade setup to take this trade. So as we're waiting for this 1 hour to now go from this bearish trend back to being in this bullish trend, we can now expect for price to have some type of break like so. And as we're waiting for this breakout going from bearish to bullish on the 1 hour time frame, what can we expect to happen on the 30 and the 15 minute time frame? We can expect the 30 and the 15 minute time frame to go from a bearish trend to now being in a bullish trend, allowing the 1 hour to have that shift of structure and also getting in sync with the higher time frames. So we can expect the 30 and the 15 minute time frame to switch first, allowing that 1 hour time frame to have that switch from bearish back to bullish, getting in sync with the daily and the 4 hour time frame. And as we had this break of structure, you can see the 1 hour now go from being in this bearish trend to being in a bullish trend, forming new higher lows and new higher highs. And since now we are in sync with the daily and the 4 hour time frame being in a bullish trend, we now are waiting for what just occurred. We can obviously see on the 1 hour time frame we had a break of structure. So because of this break of structure happening, we know that we have to have that retracement back down towards this area of interest. And as that retracement is being established, what do we know has to happen on the 30 and the 15 minute time frame? The 30 and the 15 minute time frame has to go from bullish to back bearish, allowing the 1 hour to have this retracement. So we know that the 30 and the 15 minute has to go back bearish to then go and form new lower lows and new lower highs. And as this retracement is happening, again, the 4 hour is still just showing you signs of rejection, right? And now this is the time we start to look for entries. Why? Because one, the daily has already established that retracement, as we can see on all time frames, right? And as we establish that retracement, we are now tapping back into our daily area of interest, as you can see on all time frames, right? And lastly, the last thing you want to do is wait for the 1 hour to switch from bearish to back bullish. And as we switch from bearish to bullish, we want to allow this to take place at that daily area of interest. Again, just being a zone where we want to take this trade from. So as that retracement now is happening, what is taking place? You can see price go from bearish to bullish on the 1 hour time frame. As that is taking place, you can see how price is also now forming a retracement to not only retest that daily area of interest, but also retest this 1 hour area of interest as well, right? And now, since we know in order for this 1 hour to have the second momentum push back towards the upside to go and create new higher highs on the daily time frame, so in order for the daily to have the second push, in order for the 4 hour to have the second push, in order for the 1 hour to have that second push, we know that the 30 and the 15 minute time frame now has to go from being in this bearish trend to having this switch of structure, going from bearish to bullish, presenting us with a breakout, forming what? New higher highs and new higher lows. And as price presents you with this breakout, we've already allowed the 1 hour to form that retracement. After the 1 hour has formed that retracement, just wait for the shift of structure once more on the 30 and the 15-minute time frame. You find your entry off of that switch of structure, stop loss just below, and your targets is that recent daily point. After you found your position, the only thing you're doing is targeting the recent daily zone. And what is that recent daily zone? It is that recent structure where price has already been. So now, after we allowed everything to take place and we found our entry off of the 30 in the 15-minute time frame, due to us being patient, allowing a 1 hour to switch from bearish to bullish, allowing a 30 and a 15-minute switch from bearish to bullish, knowing that this time frame, 30 and the 15, it has to have the bearish to bullish flip first, allowing the 1 hour to have that second leg extension back towards the upside, which allows the 4 hour to have that second push back towards the upside, which overall allows the daily to continue with the overall trend. Now I'm about to show y'all a recent pair retraded GBP USD. I'm going to now take this same exact entry, the same exact breakdown to the live market. This is so juicy. This is so juicy. It's so much free game. Like, this is so much game that a lot of people don't realize they missing out on. So now let's get into these live markets. Our objective is to do what? Identify the trend. So the first thing we want to do is identify what trend are we in. We can obviously see price was in this downtrend. Price had the switch of structure giving us the break here, and then price now had another switch of structure giving us a break back down towards the downside. And so knowing that, we can then mark this off as being our lower high, allow price to form that retracement. Price now formed the retracement. We can now solidify this as being our new lower low. So after this daily time frame has formed that retracement, as we drop down towards the 4 hour time frame, you can see how that allowed the 4 hour to establish the pullback towards where? Recent area of interest, right? And that recent area of interest is being that recent break of structure, which happened there. You can see how price went from being in a bearish trend to then going in a bullish trend to now back bearish, getting in sync with the daily time frame. You can see that clear as day here. That retracement was formed. The 4 hour allowed the retracement to get back into recent structure. Again, going back to this, you can see how the daily and the 4 hour typically are already in sync. And as that 4 hour had the retracement, not only are we now somewhere where we don't want to be, which is above, you can see how it's treated as support, we want to get back below. So now you just be patient and allow price to get back below. And as price gets back below that zone, we drop down towards the 1 hour time frame. On the 1 hour time frame, what took place? Right now, you can see the 1 hour in a bullish trend. What did we just talk about? In order for this pullback to happen, the 1 hour has to go from, well, in this case, we are bearish, but the 1 hour has to go, if you are in a bullish trend, from bullish to bearish. Since we are in a bearish trend, in order for us to establish this pullback on the 4 hour time frame, the 1 hour has to go from bearish to bullish. And you can see that get established right there. But in order for the 1 hour to go from bearish to bullish, what has to take place first? What is the first time frame that has the switch of structure before anything else? That's the 30 and the 15-minute time frame. You can obviously see the 30 and the 15 go from bullish to bearish before the 1 hour gave you the overall break. So if I drop towards the 30-minute and even the 15-minute time frame, you can see how the 15-minute time frame had the switch of structure from bearish to bullish, allowing the 1 hour time frame to have that flip in trends. So with knowing that the 30 and the 15-minute time frame, if we go back to it, has to go from what? Bullish. As you can see, the 15-minute time frame is doing what now? It is going from bullish to now back bearish, getting in sync with the higher time frame. And what did we just talk about? In order for us to start looking for entries, where do we have to be? At that area of interest. Where are we at if we go back towards the higher time frames? At this area of interest. So since we are now at this area of interest, we want to see the 15-minute go from what? Bullish to back bearish, allowing us to see the switch of structure getting back in sync with the daily in the 4-hour time frame. With this 15-minute going from bullish to bearish, we know that the next thing is supposed to happen is the 1 hour to go from bullish to back bearish based off of this break of structure. Once we have this break of structure, we can see price have that retest and continue all the way down towards targets. Right, so our entry came off of the first break of structure. As you can see right here, that break of structure occurred at our zone, which I wanted to see. Price gave us what? The bullish to bearish flip with the bearish break of structure, which also left us with what? The bearish engulfing, our entry confirmation. You found your entry, stops just above. And then, like I just talked about, our targets is our next structure point. And I'm just looking to squeeze out a little bit more since I know the overall trend of the market. As we found that entry, you can see what happened. Price fell directly into profit. And after price pushed into profit, as we go back towards the 1 hour time frame, what did that 15-minute structure shift allow the 1 hour to do? You can see clear as day, this allowed the 1 hour time frame, how we just talked about, to establish that recent break of structure. So now, in order for price to continue towards the downside, we can expect the 1 hour to form that pullback, which allows the 15-minute. And as you can see, well, let's stay on the 1 hour. We want the 1 hour to form that pullback. So as the 1 hour is forming that pullback, like we just said, typically half of the times the 30 and the 15-minute time frame, when the 1 hour is forming this pullback, will go from bullish to bearish. In this case, when the 1 hour is forming a pullback, you can see on the 15-minute and on the 30-minute time frame how we went from being in this bullish trend to now getting back in this bearish trend, being in sync with the 1 hour time frame. All my trends are now, we have the 15-minute, which is bearish, 30-minute, which is bearish, and we have the 1 hour, which is bearish, which is now in sync with my higher time frames. The 4 hour is already bearish. My daily, as you can see, is already bearish. Everything is telling me to go down. So now we're already in our position. I'm holding this trade. I have no worries. Why? Because of the switch of structure. We were in this bullish trend. Price gave me a break, breaking these recent lows, going to form new lower highs and lower lows. I can see a retracement happening. Therefore, I'm okay. I have no break of structure towards the upside. Everything is still telling me down. Why would I close this position? You wouldn't. So let the trade run. So by us having that confluence, having the confidence in this trade, we continue to allow this trade to play out. And by us allowing this trade to play out, you can obviously see clear as day, price continue towards targets with no problem whatsoever, and eventually hitting our overall targets for a beautiful 1 to 3.9% in return. You can see how the 4 hour played out. You can see how the daily played out. The daily is still melting due to us just following structure overall, right? You can see how the 1 hour had the what? Continuation. After price gave us the flip from bullish to bearish, when that all happened at this beautiful zone, you can see how price continued to fall towards the downside. Again, the 15-minute structure was the first structure to flip from bullish to bearish, which allowed this entire move to play out. So I want you all to rewatch this video if you can. If you found this video to be helpful, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, because I'm posting stuff like this all the time. And if you want to learn more, I do have a Discord community down in the description below. If you're looking to get yourself better in trading, if you're looking to take your career further in trading, invest in yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. If you're not, if you're looking for the route of getting free knowledge, dude, stay on YouTube. But when you're ready to up your game and actually invest in yourself and put in a work and not being scared to reach the next level through hard work, invest in yourself. You will never get to the next point without investing in yourself. You don't work for money. Remember that. Allow your money to work for you. So if you allowing that money to work for you is you investing in somebody else that has the knowledge that you have, go do that and go put in the work until you're at the point where it is now working. The way you know it's working is when you apply it every single day until it slowly starts turning around. But the moment you quit applying that thing because you feel like it's too hard and it's not working, that's the moment where you, my sir or my good woman, have failed yourself because you are scared of pressure. It's okay. Everybody goes through it. Have the faith, believe that you will get through it, and let that alone drive you to showing up and doing it every single day until it starts working. May God continue to bless you all. I'm gone. Have a blessed one. Deuces.